So we already started now. There's the sunrise. Look at the sun rising. Look at the birds. Look at all the birds. They are dancing for the sunrise.
A new day, huh?
A new day, exactly. Look at the water here as well. Yeah. Come with me, I'll show you something. So we've got a number of guests this morning, a group of people staying here, and then another couple that are here, that were here with the tour guide before a couple of weeks ago, and now they're here with their grandchild. Omer, his name is Omer. Good morning, Boker Tov. How old is Omer?
3.5 months.
Hello, Omer. You're the youngest person so far on Sunrise Stroll and Chat, as far as I know.
Bye-bye.
And we are here. Your grandparents are taking you to see this sunrise stroll and chat. So people, look in this direction here. Look over here. Look what you see.
Wow.
Look at this.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. מדהים. Wow.
So there we have some more guests coming. And we love to see the reflection, but we like to see the real thing as well, you know.
Okay.
So here we have the sun. A new day. And it's interesting, today we have the book of Malachi. The prophet Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
And the prophet Malachi is saying many things, but he has a word of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And the word of hope is the rising sun with healing in its rays.
Mm-hmm.
The rays of sunlight carry healing. And this is very beautiful for us now because we are actually doing a virtual pilgrimage. And the theme of the pilgrimage is healing and hope.
Hope.
For the whole month of October, we're doing this pilgrimage here in the Holy Land, and people are following it on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. And then one little detail here, if you didn't see it yet, you have to show Omer right behind the Mount of Beatitudes, just to the right of the palm trees here in the foreground, you can see Mount Hermon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, it's just peeping up right behind the Mount of Beatitudes. If you look at the yellow boat there in the water, it's in that line from us here. Straight up there, you can see Mount Hermon faintly in the background. So let's go for a little stroll.
Okay.
Nice and gently along the water, along the lakeside here. Good morning, Joe. This is a New York man living here, and he had a lot of questions yesterday during our tour. You're already famous here, Joe, on the Sunrise Stroll and Chat. We're connected to the whole world. Look at that.
Yes, very good.
You see, you hear the New York accent here. You're from New York, right?
Of course.
Yeah, nobody's perfect, don't worry. So we're strolling over here.
As an Irishman, I'm not so sure you could beat me down.
So we're just doing a little stroll and chat here, Joe. So it's always a little challenge with new people along here to understand our little scheme of things each morning with the sunrise stroll and chat. So Malachi is a tough prophet, and in a way look at, there are hundreds of birds here. Malachi is summarizing in a way the message of all the prophets, and in a way the entire Tanakh, because he is this short little book. It's I think the last book in our Bible, at least before the New Testament, and also
Is
for
it from the Old Testament?
of course
Of all,
Malachi.
yes?
Yeah.
Because I'm not so
Yes.
familiar with all the stories. We
Okay.
are coming from Russia, from Latvia.
Latvia. Oh
Latvia,
wow!
From Riga.
How long are you living here?
Oh, many years, more than 50 years.
Okay.
But still, we didn't study all the
scripture,
Bible
right.
because we were brought up in the Soviet Union.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
therefore.
So Malachi is a very short little prophet. It's just a few chapters, like 4 chapters, I think, or 5. And he is obviously, like all the prophets, he's dealing with the relationship of God's people in the covenant with God. And then because of this, obviously we're not perfect, so sometimes there are major problems. And the prophets are very clear about the major problems. And so, in a certain sense, this book of Malachi is like a court case. So it's a dispute between parties to a contract.
I see.
And obviously the people are brought to court in a way. And he is taking them on like God is.
You know
and
it by heart.
No, not really, not really. I'd like to know it much better. But what's interesting is it's also very deeply connected to the book of Numbers and all of the rules for the people. And there's a very interesting detail today about an interpretation of this verse about the sun rising with healing in its rays, that it's also connected to the whole idea of the hem of the garment and the tzitzit, the little strings reminding the people of the covenant and how their vocation is a covenant of holiness, and then how they have been unfaithful to this. And then there's going to be punishment, severe punishment. So it's the time of the exile is over. They are back in Jerusalem and they are rebuilding the temple, but they're very discouraged. It's not very successful. And so it's a renewal of the covenant with God. And here, I always like coming to these bougainvillea here. And then, yes. You know where the name bougainvillea comes from?
No.
From Bogan,
It's an island in the
South Pacific.
yes. And so there's actually one story I heard was the Franciscans brought the bougainvillea to the Holy Land, because they had,
It was brought from somewhere.
from Bougainvillea, from the island.
The name of the
Yes.
island. Yes.
And
The name of French admiral, the name of the island. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
He was a French admiral?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, very good. So we're always learning something. So, excellent. So we're going back to our little story we're reading from the scripture here in front of all these birds dancing around at sunrise. And Malachi then is capturing that the essence of the covenant, and with a great promise that there will be healing in the hem of his garment, in the tzitzit, in the kanaf. So this idea then carries through very much in the New Testament, in the Gospels, because all the people want to touch Jesus, to touch his garment. There's healing in his garment. And it's interesting also that the sun, the rising sun, in a certain sense, for the people who are doing evil, is going to be a burning furnace that will burn the stubble and not leave stem or root, like you burn a field after harvest. So this image both is an image of the burning of unfaithful love, and then the healing of true love, of the poor before God and saying, I'm a sinner, forgive me, help me to restart. And we'll keep walking. Let's keep walking here. I didn't do much walking this morning because I have to go out for an appointment, so I got up and didn't get my miles in. So it's a little chillier now, isn't it? A little fresher, than a month ago.
Oh, certainly.
So we go to the gospel, and the gospel has a teaching about prayer. And it's very interesting. There were two together. Yesterday's one was about addressing God as Father. And today it's about addressing God as friend. And Jesus gives this little parable. A friend is in need. He has visitors and doesn't have food to give them. So he gets up and goes and knocks on the door of his friend and says, "Can you give me some bread?
Some food.
To provide hospitality for my visitors." And the guy, it's midnight, and the guy says, "Hey, I'm in bed and asleep with all my kids and family, and the door is locked. Go away, come back tomorrow." And Jesus says, he won't get up because he's a friend, but if the friend keeps persisting, he'll finally get up because of the persistence. So this teaching about prayer is to pray always, not to give up, to be persevering. So it's a beautiful teaching about prayer, and it puts prayer in the context. 2 days ago, I had a conversation here in the lobby with some people who also did the tour during the day. There were 4 ladies, and we finished prayer at nighttime. And they said, "How often do you pray?" 2 times a day. And I automatically said to them, "I pray always."
You pray in your heart.
Yes, very good, lady. Very good. Very good.
And
And
you
you're...
can do it during all day, all the time.
Yes, and it's because, little children with their dad, they're always talking, they're always communicating with their mom. And friends are always talking. And nowadays with the social media, they're always sending messages over and back. So they're always in communication. So then the idea of prayer, not as some ritual that's cold and obligation and something fixed that's almost oppressive, it's the idea of prayer as the beautiful, continual flow of communion, of conversation between children and parents, which is constant and spontaneous and joyful, or troubled and anxious and looking for help, or the conversation between friends, which is always ongoing, and which is a gift, which is uplifting, which is company, which is helpfulness, which is sharing of impressions and insights. And so you have all this beauty that's happening. So prayer then is placed in this context in Jesus' teaching, in today's gospel passage. So, and the psalm is also talking about delight in the Lord. Delight. So here we have a lot of light, and the Irish do not say the word the man, the cow, the sheep. They say de. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at delight.
And it continues today in Brooklyn.
It does.
That's the way they speak.
That's the way they speak.
Okay, let's speak like this in the United States.
Yes.
Only in Brooklyn.
Only in Brooklyn.
So let's continue going back over here a little bit, although our time is beginning to end here. But I love having visitors here right now on the live stream because
these days are coming pilgrims.
Just beginning. We had actually a group yesterday. I guided a group yesterday here at Magdalene. They were from, it was funny the way the pastor said it. I was trying to figure out what kind of church they were. And he said, I said, well, are you Baptist or Pentecostal or evangelical? And he says, we're Baptocostal.
What is it?
Well, something Baptist theology, probably Pentecostal style. I don't know, Baptocostal. It was a word I had never heard before. Creative word, So I thank you very much for coming out this morning at sunrise
Thank you very much for the invitation.
to join us.
Thank you very much.
And I think we're
Otherwise, the sun wouldn't have come up if you hadn't.
Imagine that. Imagine that. You're almost right, Joe. You're almost right. So I wanted just to say goodbye here. God bless you all. Thank you for